Hello and welcome back to Side High Tech. In this video, I'm going to show you to make a Neopixle RGB LED 3D printed lantern with push button features, where you can push it to turn red, green, blue, white, and multicolor. Let's get started. And these are the items you're going to need to make for this project. The items you're going to need is 16 WS2812 Neopixles, an Arduino Uno, a push button switch, a 9-volt battery, a 9-volt battery clip, some wires. You're also going to need some jumper cables and some neodymium magnets. And of course, you're going to need this 3D printed housing that is for this project. Now let's go ahead and assemble this project and let's get started. First, I'm going to take some measurements and find the center of this object. And there we go, right here is the center. Next, I'm going to find the center of this 3D printed piece, which is actually the leg for the model. Make a mark for the center. Next, I'm going to take these two objects and put them together and align the two center marks. As you can see, these two pieces are not perfectly flush. There's a little gap in between. So what I need to do first is modify it in order to attach it so that way it stays nice and flush. I'm going to take this file and just simply sand down this piece, make it nice and flat. And there we go, it fits perfectly flush now. Put some super glue, place it right here, perfectly centered, following the two lines to make sure it's perfectly centered. Spray some activator, and repeat the same process 3 more times, and it should look just like this. One thing I do notice is that that center part is a little bit too big, and this piece rocks back and forth. So what I need to do is do a little modification, and I'm going to take this file and file down the centerpiece just a little bit, just enough so that way it's not touching and only the legs are touching. And there, as you can see, it's perfect. Next, I'm going to take these two 3D printed pieces, which I call the cage. Place the bottom one right here. Put some super glue all the way around the edge. And carefully glue it into place since it solidifies quickly. Spray some activator so it stays in place better. And there, glued into place. Next, I'm going to take the file and carefully file down these pieces so that way I can take these two cage pieces and glue them together. And of course, you have to be careful because, whoops, it broke. But that's okay, it's an easy fix. And there we go, reattached just like that. Next, take a little bit of super glue and put it on one piece at a time. Make sure it's nice and even. Spray some activator. And now repeat the same process 3 more times, making sure that they're all even and it should look just like this. Next, I'm going to take this white panel and place it on the bottom right here. And the reason for doing this will allow the LED light to shine more evenly. Doesn't fit properly, so I need to modify this a little bit. And there we go, perfect fit. Next, I'm going to take this 3D printed lampshade and put it inside the cage. And this part here will allow the LED light to shine inside, which will make the whole entire thing glow. Next, I'm going to take this white LED panel, place it on top. This will be where the LED lights will go. Before I do that, I need to take these LEDs and solder tin all of the leads. Solder tin it just like this. And there, all solder tinned. Next, what I need to do is orientate them properly and respect the arrows because that's the direction that the current will flow. This position right here looks very good. Put a little bit of super glue on the LED panel. Place the LED on top of the super glue. Press it down. Spray some activator so that way it stays in place. Next, I'm going to take these wires. I'm going to connect all of the grounds to ground, following the correct orientation of the arrows. And there, all of the grounds are now connected. Next, I'm going to take these wires and connect all of the data pins. Connect the data out to data in, then data out to data in, then data out to data in. And repeat the same process with the 5-volt pins. Next, I'm going to take this jumper wire and find the center of the wire. This right here is the center. Remove the insulation, solder tin it, and then solder one of the jumper wires to the ground input, and then data input, and 5 volts input. And there, she'll look just like this. Next, I'm going to take a permanent marker and block in this wire, so then that way I know this wire is ground. Next, I'm going to take all 3 of the wires and put it through this hole. Next, I'm going to solder some jumper wires to the 9-volt battery clip. And there we go, soldered into place. Next, slide over the shrink tube and place it over the solder connection. And now shrink the tube with using a little bit of heat. And there, the wires are now insulated. And there, a modified 9-volt battery clip. Next, take another jumper wire and solder to the push button switch. And there we go, soldered into place, and now slide over the shrink tubes. Shrink the tubes, so then that way the solder connections are insulated. And there, the push button switch is now ready. And now it's time to connect everything to the Arduino Uno. First, start with the push button switch. Connect one jumper wire to the PWM2, and then the other jumper wire to ground. And there, the push button switch is connected to ground and pin 2. Next, take the 9-volt battery clip and connect it to the Arduino Uno. Take the negative wire and connect it to ground. And then take the positive wire and connect it to VIN, or voltage input. And there, the 9-volt battery clip is now connected. Next, take the Neopixles and connect it to the Arduino Uno. Take the 5-volt wire and connect it to 5 volts on the Arduino Uno. And now take the ground wire and connect it to ground. And now take the data wire and connect that over to pin 6. And there, the circuit is now complete. Let's go test it out. Push the button, LEDs turn red. Push it again, turns green. Push it again, turns blue, white. Couple pushes, and it will turn into rainbow or multicolor. And then this one here is random rainbow. Wait a little bit and push it again, and you will have flicker rainbow. I like this one because it gives it more of a candle flame effect. Next, put a small amount of super glue on each corner. The reason why it's a small amount is because I want to take this LED panel, place it on top, and if it's a small amount and there's a problem, I can be able to still remove it without damaging the housing. And I'll take this LED panel and place it on top, make sure it's nice and even. Spray some activator. Next, I'm going to work with this top housing, and I want to connect all these rings together to create a chain which will connect to this part of the housing. I'm going to take some scissors and carefully cut it. A little bit hard to separate it by hand. So what I need to do is take my scissors, open it up. That way it makes it easier to put this ring through. And now repeat the same process with the rest of the rings. And now with this part here, I've noticed if you don't cut from the bottom of the scissors, it'll cause it to shatter. As you can see, it broke into 2 pieces. That's why you have to do a slow cut. Slow cutting like this will cause it to only cut in one spot instead of shattering. But that's okay, since that one ring shattered, it'll make it easier to connect to the big ring. Put some super glue, glue the 2 parts together. Spray some activator. And now it stays together. And as you can see, each of these rings have these little gaps. And what I need to do is put some super glue inside these gaps, and I have to work very quickly once I put the activator, so that way I can keep the rings closed instead of open. And there, it should look just like this. Now repeat the same process with the rest of the rings. Next, I'm going to take this final ring and place it onto this part of the housing. And repeat the same process with the super glue. And there, this part of the housing is now complete. As you can see, this looks very nice. It's also a little bit strong too. Of course, to the maximum strength of this material, that is. Next, I'm going to take some neodymium magnets and place them on all 4 corners. Put them in 2x2s. And now carefully take the top of the housing, place it in, and watch the position of the magnets. If they move a little bit, that'll be the position where they need to go. So that way I can put a little bit of super glue on it, and that way it can be able to stick to the housing. So gently place it on. Lift it up, and there, as you can see, the magnets have moved, which means that's where the magnets need to be. Take a marker and mark it so that way the magnets stay in place properly. Take a little bit of super glue and glue it on each of those marks. And now glue the magnets in place. Spray some activator so they stay in place permanently. Next, put a small amount of super glue on top of each magnet. And now take the top housing and place it on top of those magnets. And at this point, I need to wait patiently for the glue to cure on its own, so then that way those magnets will stick to the top housing. And there, all 3 but 1 stuck, and this is exactly what I was trying to do. For them all to stick onto the corner of the housing. What I need to do is modify this one a little bit, because this one I think I accidentally moved too much. Clear away the glue. Re-glue it, and then place the top housing back in place, so then that way I have all 4 magnets on their corners. And what I'm going to do is add more super glue to glue them into place so that way they stay in better and stronger. Spray some activator, and I'll repeat the same process 3 more times. And as you can see, it's nice and strong, holds together perfectly. That's because I added 16 magnets. It's exactly what I need to hold these 2 parts of the housings together. I also added a little bit of hot glue to make it stay in place a little better, since that piece there was giving me a lot of problems. A little demonstration to show you how strong it is. I can shake it up and down and it will not separate. So that way I can carry the lantern from the chain, walk around while it swings to give it more of an interesting look. And now it's time to test it out. Open the top. Take the 9-volt battery. Then take the switch and hold it into place. And then take the top housing and put it on top. The top housing will push the switch and hang on the outside, but just enough where you won't see it. And there, the project is now complete. Let's go ahead and test it out. And there, the lantern turns red, green, blue, white. A couple pushes, it'll turn into rainbow. One more time in the dark. As you can see, a nice red glow, and a green glow, a blue glow, a white glow, a couple pushes, and a rainbow glow. And the multicolor flicker. As you can see, it does look like a candle flame as it flickers. This looks very nice, very mesmerizing, and very relaxing. I really do like this project. I do admit that this one's my favorite. And I'll test it out in a real world scenario. And as you can see, this looks very nice. Holding it from the chain, swinging it around, and changing it to different colors. This looks very nice. And there you have it. Now you know how to make your very own Neopixle RGB LED 3D printed lantern with using an Arduino Uno. Thank you for watching SciTech. I hope you learned something new, and don't forget to like and subscribe, and of course click on the bell icon to be notified for future SciTech videos. To the next tech, goodbye.